guys, it's Dino here, and I got kind of a funny story for you. Many of you know that I do personality communication trainings, and of course I'm always looking for interesting communication exchanges between people, but sometimes those situations just find me, and that was the case this past Wednesday afternoon. You see, I had left work briefly to run up to the local Tom Thumb grocery so I could grab a snack to take to my son Luke at school. He had forgotten his snack and he was going to have to stay after school for a pretty long rehearsal. So I zipped up to the Tom Thumb. Now, Tom Thumb is not a grocery store that I normally shop at, and so I kind of rush in there and I'm in a hurry and a bit disoriented, and I'm getting frustrated because I'm going up and down the frozen food section and I cannot find the dadgum Lunchables. Of course, then it dawns on me, well, those things are ready to eat, so they probably would not be frozen. And of course I'm quick like that, so you don't have to beat me over the head repeatedly, just once or twice. And I decided to head out of the frozen foods and get over to the refrigerated section. Now, as I'm headed down that aisle about to head out of the frozen food, I get cut off by a little old lady just barreling around the corner with the basket. Now, guys, she is probably, I got to think, late 70s, early 80s. She's a little bitty lady. Her head is down and she is just barreling around that corner. Literally cuts me off. I kind of have to move out of the way so as not to be run over by this lady who is on a mission. And that's when I see her husband coming around the corner. Now, he's a little old man too. They're both, I don't know if they just shrunk or what, but they're both seem like about 5 foot tall, maybe 4 foot something, I don't know. But anyway, he's coming around the corner and he's begging with her to stop. And finally, here's exactly what I hear. They're oblivious to the fact that I'm there, but he goes, "Would you just stop?" And his little hands are just shaking like that. And she stops and he goes, "If you will just tell me what you want, I can be of some help." He is just begging her. Well, she just turns around and barks at him, "You cannot help. You never do. You can't find anything. You always slow me down." Of course, at this point, I've decided now is a good time to check out the frozen foods. So I'm just standing right there looking at the frozen foods inside the glass there. And this is what he says. "Just please, if you can tell me one thing, and I'll go get it." And finally, she gives in and she goes, "I need some Swiss cheese slices." And he goes like this. He says, "Okay," and again, his hands are just shaking. I can see it out of the corner of my eyes. He says, "Swiss cheese slices. Do you need a pound? Do you need a pound and a half?" And she barks again. "I don't need it. I don't even care. I just need individual Swiss cheese slices." And then she just barrels on down the aisle there, and there we stand. Of course, again, he's not even aware that I'm there. But guys, immediately, I just feel a compassion, some sort of camaraderie with this gentleman. I mean, well, heck, we're not that different, are we? I mean, I'm sitting right here in the middle of the frozen food section looking for a dang Lunchable. So this is what he does next. He gets the order, and I can tell he's scared to death that he's actually gotten the order, and he does this. He's checking out every sign up and down the store, and for whatever reason, he decides to head to the next frozen food aisle and go down that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's unfortunate. But I went ahead and just gathered my thoughts, and I'm in a rush now. I got to go find my Lunchable, so I head on over to the refrigerated section. Now, as I get over to that section, and I start studying my Lunchables, and there's a whole, by the way, there's a slew of those suckers. Anyway, I'm looking at all these, and I'm trying to find the one that's got the drink and the dessert and you know, and everything. Well, I'm looking at all these, and I notice out of the corner of my eye that our boy here has just come up that same frozen food aisle that I have come out of. So now he's gone down one and come up the other, and there's no Swiss cheese yet. And so I'll watch him, and he comes over a couple of aisles, and now he is headed down the snack aisle. And again, I'm thinking, well, that's not going to work out so well. And I keep looking at my Lunchables, and I finally decide on what I'm going to get. And as I kind of look around, I'm curious, where's he at? Here he comes. He's coming up the detergent aisle. And I mean, literally, he's coming up right behind me, so I know he's getting close, right? He's coming up through the detergents, and he gets to the end of that row, and he looks around, and he heads over to the milk. Oh, man! And I'm thinking to myself, well, all right, at least he's kind of honed in on the cow, so maybe we're getting closer, right? And he heads over to the milk, and I decide, well, all right, I just got to go. So I grab my Lunchable, and I head down that detergent aisle that he has just come up. And as I'm headed over there, I look down and I realize, dang, I've got the wrong Lunchable. I picked up a turkey Lunchable, and I meant to get a ham one. So I go back over to the section there, and of course, as I walk up, I notice something immediately to my left of the Lunchables. That's the entire section of cheeses. And there's cheese all up and down that section, and right beside the Lunchables, guess what it is? Swiss cheese slices. You know what I'm thinking, right? But then I'm thinking, no, that's just meddling. I can't do that, so I'm just going to have to let it go. But I notice, here comes our boy. He's coming up this way. He's just left the milk, and he's coming down this very aisle, and he's coming toward me, right? I mean, he's coming right here, and he's got to pass the entire cheese section, so I know he's about to find this thing. And so I'm just sort of standing there waiting because I'm wanting to see, you know, the elation when he finds that Swiss cheese. Well, he's coming right toward me, and he passes the entire section of cheese, never sees it, and then he passes behind me, and I watch him heading now to the fruits and the produce. And two things have become painfully evident to me. Number one, his wife was correct. I don't think he's able to find much of anything. And number two, he's not going to find this Swiss cheese without a little bit of help. And that's when I decided it was time to make an executive decision. I thought to myself, no sir, not today, not on my clock. This gentleman is not going to go back to the little lady empty-handed and defeated. And I looked over there and I picked up two different Swiss cheese slice options, and I went and I found that man over by the grapes, and I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, sir, excuse me. I overheard your wife saying to you that she was wanting some Swiss cheese slices, and I found these over there, and I thought I would bring them to you. I brought you a couple of options. And that little man grabbed those Swiss cheese slices like it was the last loaf of bread on the earth, and he pulled down his glasses and he looked up over the glasses at me and he said, young man, I don't know if there's ever a way that I can help you, but I sure do thank you. Son, can you please tell me where you found these at? And I said, yes sir, they're right over there. And I tell you what, he headed on down the aisle off to find his wife, and I could tell he had just a little bit of a skip in his limp, you know what I mean? And I felt like a better human. I felt like a better man. Sir, wherever you're at out there, most likely in the Southwest Fort Worth region, keep the faith, bro.